Hello everybody and welcome to Stone and Void. I'm your host Jay Phillips, joined as always with...
Patrick Collins.
Yep, Don Boo is out right now, so he's not going to be joining us today. Sorry for the odd scheduling for all the videos dropping, guys. I know it's been kind of crazy, and it's going to be even more crazy without Don here for the day. And so I know our videos just keep showing up quite randomly. However, we did talk about a lot of stuff last week, so hopefully that tides you guys over, since today is going to be a really short podcast in general.
Pretty light.
We don't have too much more information other than we see quest cards start popping up in mail, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I didn't even know when the sign up for that was. Or
you didn't sign up this time?
Did you?
I signed up this time, but I'm very doubtful that I'll get a card.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's not like I ever got one, but it would have been cool to have gotten one this time. Yeah. However, the app didn't tell me. Did the app tell you? Is that how you found out, or do you know where it was posted at?
Facebook.
Is Facebook? Yeah, I don't end up checking that too often.
I mean, I think the app tells you too, but I just check Facebook like every day. So.
Gotcha. So the quest cards are really cool. I keep seeing a lot of really interesting cards out there. I've seen some people get duplicates of like the same card in their package. I don't know if that's on
in Quest.
Yeah, I think that might have been an accident.
I know one guy got 3 different cards.
That's cool.
Which is kind of sick, but he's in Australia, so.
Hey, that's really cool to give them a bunch of cards. I mean, it's just interesting to see the amount of different stuff that we've seen out there. Because of that, we did see the card, or at least you've seen it, the card that we tried to decipher last week, which we got the front part or the top part correct, which was when it enters the battlefield and when it leaves the battlefield, you draw a card.
Yeah. And
then you said it had an interesting line of text underneath that.
And then the other line underneath that was, when this card leaves play, draw a card. So there's 2 lines in which it draws a card when it leaves play. So the assumption right now is that that line is...
It's just a typo.
It's probably a typo, kind of like you win the game on that one.
I wonder how they went and... I mean, I guess he's just going to say that in the text document of that it was messed up and went to printing that way. However, there seems to be a lot of fun little mess-ups like that throughout the sets.
Yeah.
You know,
it has to be a text mess up. Like someone, I mean, Jordan has a clear knowledge of the American language, like
right? So it's not a translational thing or like anything like that. It's just a obvious. I typed this out and it went to print funny.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he doesn't understand English. I'm just saying that he is the only person that I know that's doing the translations.
I think there's
an audience.
A few other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still stuff.
He's like the main one for at least the U.S. translation.
The bottom part of that card, really quick though, we are correct. You do pay 1 moon, and you get to look at the top.
Look at the top 3 and put them in any order. But you don't put. We said that you put the elf on top of the deck. No, you don't.
You don't. So you just constantly change.
Yeah, you just filter with 1 moon.
That's pretty cool. That is still probably not playable because of how much mana it costs.
I almost kind of feel like black-green Gil Lapis might be a thing with this new set coming out, because black's getting stronger and green's already got quite a few control. And then once those dual stones come out,
I think we've just had a better version of this when we had the one that every time you drew a card, you draw 3 and choose the one.
Oh yeah,
that was such a better ability.
Yeah, sorry, the Morgiana
was a very, very good card when you're looking for that.
It's one of the most hardest cards to understand.
But a lot of people still avoided that card when they're deck building. You saw it come up in certain decks, and other decks would completely forget about it simply because they didn't want to spend the turn putting it down for 1 mana. And this card costs 4 with a.
That was like the reason why Alice's World was such a big deal. Right. I think the Morgiana was the most broken card in Alice's World, personally.
It was a really good card. You can't really argue that. The only other thing that we had for stuff that we were talking about last week was the online client, which thank you for down in the comments of the last video. I definitely believe that it's going to be similar to the Pokemon setup where...
So you think it's going to be like a grinding kind of thing where you earn packs and stuff like that?
I think you could probably do that, and the way you can speed that up in Pokemon is not only do you grind to get packs, but you can enter the online code from your from the store pack online to redeem it for a pack online. Which I absolutely love. At first it seemed weird to try and get a online deck for Pokemon, but now I have so many packs for Pokemon, I can't, I just give them to people who want to play. Don't ask me for packs for mine. But, friends have asked for them in the past. I'll give them 300 packs because I just don't need them, and I open 1 to 2 boxes of every set. Yeah. So I just have tons of packs.
Oh, you were talking about the
Pokemon.
The cards, online packs.
Online. Yeah, so you could easily do the redemption. Instead of getting just points in your phone, those points could redeem packs online. Mm-hmm. If they did that, that would be a great crossover. I like how Pokemon did that.
Okay, so I'm almost kind of leaning towards the fact that you'll be able to play with any card you want. Mm-hmm. And there's no grinding, it's completely free. You have all cards to pick from. And my biggest reason for that is I know they're trying to make money and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they said every single set will be available. So that means Valhalla will be in there.
Which means that they would probably have a backwards way of getting those. However, it just wouldn't make sense to not do some sort of tie-in with the physical product or find a way to make money on that separately. They have to find a way to make sales off of this. If they just launch an online client that you can play all day on, why would some of the casual players ever buy cards again?
Because they want to play with a real person in front of them?
Yes, but there's
that human interaction. People come to the store being like, hey, I want to make friends.
But there's still a ton of people who only do online play in other card games. Pokemon has its own community, and the Magic has an online community where they do nothing but the online, and that's going to happen in Force of Will.
But I mean, there's tournaments on those, right?
Right.
So I guess if they do a whole tournament setup on this, in my understanding of what's coming from this was just it's just going to be free to play with your friends, and that was about as much as you could do. I was almost kind of thinking,
if you're going to do something like this, you should try to find a way to make money.
You think so?
Yes. I feel like they got to have some sort of tie-in to make money.
Because Duels of the Planeswalkers was pretty much made to advertise Magic. That's kind of what my assumption was.
But there's still expansion stuff that you can pay for.
That you can pay for?
You
don't have to.
Always microtransaction stuff. And I'm not saying that they have to or that they should. I'm just saying that there should be some sort of way that we can get, something for money.
Mm-hmm. You're probably right. Because almost every single game is
free to
play, but I guess is it freemium?
Yeah.
Where it's kind of you have to pay in order to get better or get ahead. Mm-hmm. So.
And I hope it doesn't do that. I'm just hoping that I think Pokemon has the perfect online solution to where you can easily get the stuff that you need online by redeeming codes, and we already know that Force of Will loves doing their codes. I think it would just be a perfect step to play for free as is, open packs, grind, do things, but then get more packs by submitting your already online codes.
That may be correct, because it's being launched about the same time a new set's coming out, right? I guess the only problem with that is these older packs won't have those codes.
Right.
Even that's if the only flaw in the logic.
They could launch all of these old cards as starter stuff, a way to get into the game, and then from here on out build with the new stuff with the online codes.
So you're saying we might get the whole last 2 or 3 blocks worth of stuff?
They could do that.
And then from then on in, you'd have to either grind through it or pay for.
Give us a free back catalog, and then all the new stuff is expansion. Get it then.
So you don't think it's going to be like Magic, where they're hand you 250 commons and uncommons and be like, hey, try your best.
Oh. Build a deck that obviously will never win. Yeah. No, I don't think they'll. I think Force of Will is very excited to give you stuff to make you competitive out of the gate. They really like making sure that you get to play with everybody. at a reasonable level.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to make you overpowered and give you the best deck ever, so that way you don't understand what you're doing. But they want to give you something that you know what you're doing and are able to do reasonably well with.
Yeah.
I mean, proof enough with their starter decks for most of them. That's going to carry over online.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, you know that they got to do some sort of tie-in to make money, even if they're not directly making money on the website or on the game. There's going to be some sort of physical tie-in to getting more from it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll wait and see, and when it comes out, I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever it'll be, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Like, as I said last time, I'm pretty sure it's going to be riddled with bugs, but still, the fact that they're doing this so early on in their development is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought I would have been expecting this, like, at least 2 or 3 more years down the line, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, even Pokemon just got their client together a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
It's not actually all that new. And they had like a beta thing out for a couple of years that was just terrible, riddled with bugs. And they're a huge company. So, yeah, it just goes to show. And even Magic, their client is riddled to crap. To this day, you just have fun. There is ways to win Magic Online by playing the system, not the game. By timing out your opponents, becomes a whole new strategy. By F6ing through the proper moment on your opponents, so that way they skip their entire turn. There's a ton of ways to manipulate your opponents in Magic the Gathering Online client that you cannot do in other games. So that's a whole another thing to itself. I'm hoping that it's not that badly riddled with bugs, but we'll find out. Any which way, AGP Collinsville is the first American in the States rotated deck list tournament.
All American.
All American. And we've seen a ton of really cool decks come from all of our foreign competitors, all the things like that we've seen overseas.
Oh, yeah.
But for the deck list here, we actually got to see a couple of really unique decks,
I would
like
say,
the Dark Alice.
this is a lot more diverse than I thought it was going to be.
It's different than what we've seen overseas. I thought people were just going to net deck what everybody else has been doing and try to see what the format looked like with that. But it looks like everybody in the top 8, excluding the Necrolance deck, really decided to take something different. Team Ogre, which is the people who won this event, correct? Or no, this is a different event I'm talking about, yeah?
Team Ogre did well.
They did well in this one.
They're the 2 Alice's decks and the 4th place Necrolance deck.
Okay. They came in with some pretty fun decks. Yeah. The first place deck is a little matchstick deck with Reflect, Child of Potential. It seems like Little Match Girl is really the focus of a lot of decks right now. It seems to be what everybody wants to be playing.
It's really good against aggro.
Mm-hmm.
And since everyone coming into this tournament knew that Necrolance was going to be the biggest thing, and it was. Necrolance is definitely the most populated deck there was at this tournament. But so that's why we see so many deck lists with Little Matchstick Girl.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to do that. In the first place, kind of took control into consideration when making his Matchstick Girl by including a stone that we here at Stone and Void haven't been biggest fans of.
Yeah, I think we're all going to have to drink smoothies on this one, to be honest.
Undying Flame Memoria is a card that we all
bashed on.
When you look at it, it looks like it could come into play tapped, and that's just the end of your world. But the format is, we didn't expect a rotation.
We didn't, but
so the format has slowed down to the point of where this is a very relevant card. The rotation has really changed the whole way that the meta can be looked at right now. And this allows you to use your matchsticks for an extra 200 points of damage, which makes it very, very powerful. And he has a ton of ways to actually search for it and put it into play off of the
Blessing.
Blessing of Yggdrasil, and it's a really great deck. I really enjoy a lot of what you can find here.
Yeah, super control-y.
And he even has a Firestone in the board to actually switch out for that particular stone when he's going against a more aggressive deck.
Yeah, when he's going against aggro.
Just just a great way to show how you can really change up the way that you play these games.
I mean that is the power of Reflect Refrain, though. You can almost he's just playing good stuff deck.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of what. No, Alice's World wasn't like that. But
no. I'm very anti Matchstick Girl and matches personally right now, just because I'm playing Kaguya.
Yeah.
And there is the deck with that in the Kaguya deck, but I have beat that deck so many times online now. Yes, I'm using a client where you steal cards and quiet. But I've been testing a lot of people with Kaguya, and I can beat almost any deck that has Matchstick Girl in it.
Yeah.
And that's not really what I'm scared about. So I'm personally just not into it, but it seems like a lot of other people are.
Well, just because they know aggro is just such a tough
and that's where it is. It's you really want it against the quick decks there. The other decks that we've seen a couple different Reflect decks in general. So Reflect is very popular, but the decks are very dramatically different. Like the second place deck, which
is Honglong,
is a Honglong deck, which
you have tried. I can't believe it made it. Yeah. It's a different build than what I did, but yeah, I can't believe it.
What's in this that's so different from the deck that you were playing?
It's lower, so it's running. I think I was running all 8 counters, but it's also running bows, and it's running its only rampers are the Moon Breeze, and I think it also runs the thing that fetches stones.
Okay.
It? I'm sorry, can you scroll back up?
Yeah, sorry, scrolling past all of your stuff here.
It plays Blessing and Moonbreeze, so it doesn't play the white mana elf. Then it also plays an Izanagi.
I love Izanagi, in the way of which I will never play it in a deck, but I love the card design. I get why a lot of people are playing it. It's a really good card. The original printing of the card that we saw online was so much more amazing when you could use any banish any card in the graveyard to do the effect.
This is the white guy. Card? This is the giant 6-drop.
My bad. Sorry, there's no visual spoilers on the thing that we're looking at. Who's it? Is it Nagi again?
He's the giant 6-drop white guy who exiles 3.
Oh, he's that one. Okay, yeah. I know who you're talking about now. I'm thinking of
Izanami. They have like super
terribly
close names.
Yeah, similar names. My bad on that one, guys. That is actually a really good card. I like that a lot. I can understand why you'd want to play that.
Yeah.
And I could actually think of trying to build a deck around that one. However, I am thinking the card I'm thinking about would have been amazing the way that it was originally printed.
Yeah. And
that card, I've seen that card see a little bit of
play. It's in this deck?
Which is actually in the next deck down, which is the...
Alice's World. Or Alice's World? Sorry.
Dark Alice. Yeah. You've been saying Alice's World and I haven't corrected you. But Dark Alice, we're seeing her in the meta now, which is really awesome. Taking third, which is pretty cool. And this is actually probably what you're going to be playing?
Yeah, I'm considering it. I played it today. I liked it, but I'm not a big fan of the very regalia heavy decks, and this is one of them. I mean, if I had to play one, I would play Dark Alice, though.
Ruler's Memoria is a very difficult card to play with if you don't have enough regalia. Stones coming tapped are brutal. And it's really interesting to see this deck, though. I have been confused on Little Matchstick Girl in most decks. However, it makes the most sense in this deck, I feel, and just feels very, very strong.
Yeah, because you give Dark Alice flying while also helping with your awakening with Matchstick Girl and the Lilith.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the correct way to try and play it. And of course I haven't tried to play it, so I might be just talking out of my ass. But it just feels like the best version of her. And it feels like it just fits, and you don't lose a lot by playing her, and you can still be aggressive. It just works in general. The other deck that we have in fourth place,
Necrolance.
Yeah, is the Necrolance deck, which is
that's actually DM073's deck list too.
Yeah.
So he got an invite to Worlds, which is cool. I actually donated to his little charity to get him.
Yeah, that's really cool. That I like that. The community's reaching out to help him a little bit with that. Mm-hmm. I'm haven't personally done that. Sorry, man.
It's fine. I gave him quite a bit of money, so.
But it'd be cool to get coverage from over there. That's actually something that I've actually really wanted to do is coverage one day. So just watching another person in the community getting to go and do it is really, really cool. Yeah, next year I'm going to get an invite and I'm going to go. So, just kidding. When I actually get to play in some games and not be overseas and doing random other things. But who knows? Maybe I'll just fly over there myself. But that's basically nothing too surprising here with the Necrolance deck. Just a lot of really good red stuff.
I thought it was a little surprising that he didn't main board. Earthers, to be honest. It's actually a little slower because he runs barriers in the main. And,
I think that's a good call for everything that's currently out right now.
Yeah.
I'm not really too surprised about any of this, other than I personally would probably. Actually, I don't know what I would want to do in this one. Prisia's amazing card, only running 2 is a little more shy than I have run. Mm-hmm. I keep running 4 deep in that thing because it's just she's one of the best cards to put out there at all times.
I was listening to him and he was upset about his dragon underperforming, and he was hoping to have 3 Prisias apparently in a match.
Okay.
The dragons against the Kaguya matchup, and apparently not very many people played Kaguya at this tournament.
That's
and a lot of people over Facebook, good. Don being one of them, was just like, "Hey, how did Kaguya do at this tournament?" Like no one knows because there's hardly any Kaguyas around.
Just not.
So I have a feeling we're gonna see Kaguya in the top 8 of LA.
Because hopefully it's gonna be Don.
Someone's gonna play it.
Yeah, I really think it's a great deck. I mean, I've been pushing it for long before the rotation. It's a deck that I've been working on.
Because it can out-control the other control decks.
It's really where you want to be when you're playing control.
It's just not super strong against aggro.
No.
I know your build but it wouldn't have been as good against the control deck.
Right. The build that I had at first was terrible against control, but man, did it wreck any aggressive deck. Since I've revised, it's built to go after control decks, but that's the thing is we keep building and generating the Kaguya deck to go against the most popular decks, which is actually the first lesson that I learned going into the tournament the last time in LA was you build towards the best deck, you lose to everything else because everybody else wants to bring everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm just too diehard, or used to be too diehard into Magic, where you play against the biggest thing in the meta because you're going to run up against that so many times against 1,000 some odd people. You end up seeing decks more often than rogue decks. In a group of 200, you end up against everything at least once. It seems like.
Yeah.
So it's the difference in the sizes of the tournaments.
Yeah.
And I actually like to be that you get to see everything go against it. We have another.
You missed the Shion deck.
Is there a Shion deck that?
Yep.
I didn't even see the Shion deck the first time going through these.
So it's actually a dark Shion deck, so it's different than the green control Shion deck. So this guy opted to play Scorns instead of Wall of Winds. I think he still runs Wall of Winds, maybe, not sure. It doesn't look like it,
no.
But he is playing Seal of Wind and Light though.
This is an age-old debate that me and Dawn actually had. I wish he was actually here this week to kind of talk about this because I've been going on about how I want to be more set with the control style. I really like Wall of Winds, and I've really just been playing that way. However, we both haven't been talking about Shion. We've been talking about other decks in general, and he wants to go more this route, more of the dark route. And that's actually where we're split on Kaguya right now. So he really wants to try a more dark version of Kaguya.
So let's see here.
With the Soul Haunts.
I guess with it's the Scorns, so you get to look at the hand and take a Resonator out. So it's really good against aggro because you get rid of their Lancelot, right? Sometimes they're Earther if they don't have a Lancelot. And then it's good against most decks just because most decks have to have a Resonator base just because that's how you win, right? Especially if it's a Reflect Refrain, because Reflect Refrain cannot win just by itself. It needs a Resonator to win the game for it. So I think Scorns are more proactive. But if you do not know how to play against Wall of Wind, then Wall of Wind just destroys you.
Yes. Also, here's the thing: is you get to mess up their turn of what they're trying to play with a wall win. So they actively have to, they lose their momentum for the turn. Taking something from their hand, they still get to play something.
They do.
And that's where I don't like it from. That standpoint of they still get to do something when I take one card away. Sometimes you stop them from doing that, very rarely, but hugely against me in the Kaguya deck. You take away a creature of mine, I wasn't going to play a creature anyways, and I look at you kind of funny, and then I space time anomaly your creature if you had one, or do something of a varying, degrees. It's just, I personally don't run creatures very much, or too many of them, and I don't care too much about what you have in your hand, because I can easily knock out what you play that turn. So it's one of those things, I'd rather stop your turn than letting you do something else.
Okay, I mean, but you also get the information along with Scorn, though, of what they have in hand.
Yeah, my information, though, I'm being really cocky right now, sorry guys. I feel like I have a really good grasp on what my opponent best play is possible at every single turn in the game. I don't actually care what you are playing. I'm constantly thinking about the best 1 to 2 options that you could do on each turn, every turn, and I expect him to play accordingly to that. If you have a suboptimal play from that, then good for me. Luckily, you didn't have it, and I just keep that momentum going through the game. So I'm constantly going to wall win what I think is important and move counterspell what I think I should, and move forward in the game that way. And if you slip up or don't have those things, it only works better for me. So hand knowledge isn't too important because you're only playing these stones. You could only play these things. You're playing this ruler. I've seen the net decks. I have good information of what's in your deck. Out of 40 cards, there's a good chance you only have X.
Okay.
And I'm not worried about Y. So if you do play Y, sure, you throw me off a little bit. Like when I first came across the deck with Matchstick Girl, I was like, what is this? Still beat it. But I was like, what's going on? I didn't think this was happening. And because I didn't think it was a really popular card at the time, I found out online, obviously everybody's playing it. I think that, yes, information is good, but I don't need that information.
Okay. I mean, would you argue that Scorn is better, say, if you're going first? Because Wall of Wind is not too helpful going first. Because you generally want to counter their 2-drop, not their... You don't really care about their 1-drop most of the time.
I think, yes, you're right. It is really good to go turn 1 because you can take what they immediately get. However, they still have this really amazing ability that every card game has. It's one of the best abilities you have in the game. It's called, at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. More unknown knowledge, something they could have easily drew a 1-drop, a 2-drop, whatever they needed on curve, and they get to play that card, and you lose any awesome thing that you did. Of course, that's a huge chance because you just took out 1 card. That cuts the percentage of them drawing from their deck down by a lot. However, it still allows them to continue making plays. What if they have 2 in their hand? What if they have that? When you can just shut down the entire turn by wall of winding it. And of course, everybody's like, well, they'll play around your wall of wind. Right, so that means that every turn they're playing with 1 less mana. Which, I don't care. If you're playing 1 turn shorter than me, and I'm ramping with other things and getting ahead of you, I'm already beating you because I'm just beating you on the resource front. I can just outgrind you at this point. My wall wins are more than allowed to be useless, and I'll just get you when you forget about them later, or I will counter, use it when you have a 1-drop just because you wanted to sneak out that extra 1-drop, and I just want to get it out of my hand at this point. I find a lot of use in those small tactic-y things and just making my opponent play in a suboptimal way and taking advantage of all these little small, minute things that a lot of players don't want to take advantage of. And this is probably where the wall of wind play is more technical and better for a more experienced player. Because even wall of winning, when they have the opportunity to pay, can set off their tempo. Like if you know when to use it correctly and you're just using to push the game in your favor for the long term, making sure that they play 1 less resonator per turn. You don't necessarily always care about killing the one in the hand because you're going to be able to get your advantage later on the board. I have all of the trust that for most players, taking the correct card out of their hand is going to be easier than taking the relevant this turn card out of their hand will be the safer, better play than Wall of Winding something on the correct turn. It's a lot easier to take that thing on the turn because that's a lot of other people telling you. But also, that might not be the best way to play that card. Sometimes you really need to read into somebody's deck further down the line and remove the card that's going to be most relevant to you the turn after this one, or because you already know you can kill this thing. Like, that card gets really deep, but it's a lot easier to play mindlessly. And you want, and a lot of people also really want to play cards immediately. I see that a lot with a lot of people in general, where like, I have this counter spell, I have this removal spell, I must play it now. Why? Why do you have to play it now? And you really don't have to. What about just holding it to where it's a point in the game where you need to handle something now with, so then you still have it. Don't always play everything just because you can on curve. Yeah. Play tactically, play smarter, and you'll get better results.
It's definitely one of the biggest faults from the people that play at our store, for sure.
Yes, and this is a lot of local stuff. You run into a lot less of this when you get into bigger, more competitive play, and people have a lot more designed into this. However, a lot of people who net deck or pick up these things and go to these tournaments and they wonder, why did I get 64th, 100th place, whatever, and they're like, I've played this deck so well. Well, you didn't really build the deck. That he built that deck knowing exactly what he wanted to do on what turns. You just picked it up and mimicked it to a certain extent and could do really well with it, but you aren't always going to have the optimal play. Like having that stone that comes in tapped unless you've done 200 damage, that stone is very suboptimal, and somebody who doesn't play that style, a lot of decks are built for the person, not for everyone. So you got to find that line and draw where you want with it. And test as many different decks, variants, things that you want to figure out what's correct for you. I mean, that's why I build Don's decks to speed him up with sometimes, just to be like, why are you doing this? You know, why is the person that you copied this from doing this? And I feel like you really need to change stuff to what you want.
Yeah. So have it fit your personality. Don't have it fit you.
Yeah. So long story short, Scorn and Wall of Wind comparable. Play whatever you feel best with.
Yeah. I think those are probably two of the more stronger cards people are using right now, or they're building their decks around those cards.
I mean, Wall of Wind is I personally believe it's one of the best cards out there right now.
It probably is.
It's amazing.
It kind of wants me to. I kind of want to try Hong Long again after seeing it get second. But.
Yeah, that's really cool too. I really like Hong Long. I really like Prissy in general, and I mean, of course, people aren't playing the Ruler Prissy in that deck, but man, that ability's so good. Yeah. And it's so much fun to play. Yeah. And Horn is such a relevant card right now. You can do so much with it.
Oh my gosh, people who play Xion mess up all the time when your opponent has Horn. It's like they get so excited about flipping, and then Horn just ruins their day. It's like if you just took one more turn, you probably could still be alive and would have done everything.
But people do forget about it.
People do.
It's one of those cards.
Horn is sneaky.
Yeah. I mean, I play Horn. I've been playing Horn in decks since it came out, basically, at least a one of. And that was just off to deal with. Oh man, I don't even remember what I was dealing with back in the day. But yeah, recycling people's decks just for.
Your own deck or against the Yamada combo?
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, Yamada was like when it started from there. Ever since then, I've kept one in because it kills all graveyard strategies. It kills so many different decks just by existing. I mean, it's one of the best counter to decks that don't exist, and for that reason. Yeah. And yeah, you'd be
it hurts. I would argue that it hurts Xion right now. And then
it hurts Xion.
Can hurt. Not very well, but it can hurt like Necrolance and Matchstick Girl.
It can do funny things against Dark Alice some days too. Yes. She goes to banish something because she's got enough time and you kick it out. Yeah. So there's a lot of fun ways to play around with the meta right now. I'm super excited about the decks that we're seeing. I'm super excited about what's going into LA,
Yeah.
And I just really want to see what you guys think and see if there's any decks that you guys think that are going to pop out and be more unique through this
I
upcoming
think Kaguya. Like, I mean, I definitely didn't think so before, but I think even Don kind of proved me, and just the fact everyone's online is like, "Where's Kaguya?" I think there's gonna be like an outcry of Kaguyas coming in.
I think there's
LA.
going to be something really big for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know because I will be gone. And I will see everybody probably... Well, I have one more week with you guys, and we'll have Dawn back for that podcast too. And then I'm off for over a month and some guys. So, I mean, have fun without me.
Think we could do it? Maybe not. I don't know. We could try. Right? Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching today. I can talk really well. I'm your host, Jay Phillips, joined as always with
Patrick Collins.
Thank you guys for watching.